Hi, I'm an old guy and I do maths, and we have two questions to answer today. What is a trapezium, and how do you work out its area? So let's start with what. A trapezium is a four-sided figure, 1, 2, 3, 4, showing off there, I can count, and it's usually distinguished by having one or maybe two sloping edges and two edges that are parallel. So here are our parallel edges, here and here, and here's our sloping edge, and of course the thing has four sides. Now, it does not have to be confined to having just one sloping edge. I've got an example here of a trapezium with two sloping edges, but what you'll see is that in the case of all of these, there's a pair of parallel lines, and that's pretty important. Sometimes it can be hard to see a trapezium. They're fairly easy to spot when they're like this, but when they're in this form, our eye doesn't necessarily pick them up. So that's a basic definition of what a trapezium is. Four-sided figure, two parallel lines, and one or two sloping edges. Now these are not to be confused with parallelograms. A parallelogram, I'll draw one badly here, but a parallelogram has two sets of parallel edges. There's one drawn badly. Contrast that with this one set. Don't confuse the two. The way that you deal with them is quite different. So, can we tick off what is a trapezium? Hopefully. A trapezium is a four-sided figure with two sets of parallel lines and maybe one or two sloping edges. Okay. So, next question. How do you work out the area of such a thing? Well, there's a formula, and here it is. And this takes a tiny bit of explaining. So, before we get into explaining this, let's just have a look at what we've got here. We've got a trapezium with two sloping edges. The top and the bottom of it are parallel lines, and it would be possible to work out the area of this by breaking it up into a rectangle and some triangles if you knew exactly where this line was placed in relation to this line. So we don't necessarily know the distance here. So that may or may not stop you dead in your tracks. There may be other ways in which you can work that out. But it is possible to break this up into its constituent shapes, which in this case consists of two triangles and a rectangle. But far easier is to use this little formula, which is a half a plus b times the height. So it's fairly obvious what the height of this thing is, so we'll label that. That's this thing, which is 5 units high. A and B are the parallel sides. Important. They are the parallel sides, not these sides, the parallel sides. So if this thing were tipped on its side like this, they would still be these two sides, not these two sides. Okay. Does it matter which one you label A or B? No, not really. 9 plus 11 is the same as 11 plus 9. We'll start at the bottom, we'll label this A and we'll label this B. And to find the area of this, we add these two numbers. So let's do this in red. It is a half, 9 plus 11, times 5, the height. So 9 plus 11 is 20. A half of 20 is 10. 10 times 5 is 50. So this is 50 units square. And that is how you find the area of a trapezium. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.